So Stu,
Oh, mate.
how's it going, so Stu?
How do I turn these comments off?
You should be able to just swipe sideways. No, it won't. So go to your comments. Go to your three dots at the bottom.
All right, yeah.
Click comments.
Ah,
Not comments. Admin settings. Then comments, and then slide comments off.
got you. Done.
Admin settings. Comments. Potential spam.
Right.
How are you, Stu? You alright?
I've had a busy day, mate. Been on parade today.
Yeah, but did you see that header?
I didn't actually. I believe it was a belter.
Goalkeeper running up, and I'm like, he's going to score here. And he did. Which was lovely when you consider that he lost his dad this year and he hasn't been able to go home to his family.
Yeah.
So,
1 sec.
That's been amazing.
Am I all right with this blue light? I don't want to change it.
Turn it red.
I know me. Yeah. What's that? No, come on.
Why not, Stu?
What's that all about?
You'd be better doing it.
Is that better?
That's lovely. The
Just
red room of pain. Oh.
Just for you.
Dave Watson said he's got his wine and his lobster ready just because it's a posh dinner, this.
Oh, Dave, don't be like that.
And he's getting he said he's waiting for cheese board to turn up.
Waiting for cheese board to turn up.
Everybody's saying hi to you, Stu. Everyone's saying hi. How are you?
How you doing, guys? I'm a little bit nervous about this, but there you go.
Well, you know, when you're talking to a legend from the real military.
Oh.
What are you drinking, Stu?
I'm on GH Walls, mate. Unfortunately, I can't have any alcohol because I'm on pills.
Oof. Not on with that. I'm having
I'm on the old antibiotics, mate.
Nice cup of brew.
Oh.
So, guys,
if anybody's Rebecca, sorry, the comments are off. If anybody's coming in.
Yeah, if anyone's in Stu's side, come over to this side, because if you have any questions you want to ask, you can ask them on this side and we can pass them on to Stu. So, for those of you that don't know, this is Stuart Dagger, a.k.a. The Battered Sausage, a.k.a. Sir Stu, from his time in the army. So, Stuart was an officer in the military. Well,
you are a bellend. Come on, behave yourself. Behave yourself.
Okay, Stuart was a soldier. Is he a soldier? Stuart was in the armed forces of some form.
I was an airman.
It was a Royal Air Force man. But not a real one, because they fly the planes.
Keep them coming. Dave will contribute shortly. Keep them coming.
So, for those of you that aren't aware, Stu being ex-RAF, he's used to having a nice cheese board platter. He's used to the fine wines. He's used to all the nicer things. Yeah? He's not used to roughing it. So why he lives in Preston, I never know. As you say, Stuart is a Preston North End fan. Born and raised in Preston. Proud Prestonian. Proud Lancastrian. And
I am.
Only last week paid his respects, as every Preston North End fan does when they dress up. And what's that day called, Stuart?
Do you want me to get it for you?
Go on.
Do you want me to get it? I'll go and get it.
So if you give Stuart a minute, every single year, once a year, the Preston North End fans dress up.
We get dressed up with our bowler hats. This goes back to the days when Alan Bowles Sr. was asked what he thought of the Preston North End fans back in the 70s, early 70s. And he turned around and said that they are the best, they are the gentry. It was then decided that we were going to wear bowler hats to matches. And then, sadly, the guy that originally organised it, John Tracy, passed away. As it started sort of fading off a bit, but then when John Tracy passed away, we decided that we were going to bring it back, and every single year now we actually have one game in particular that is chosen as Gentry Day. During the game, you will see all the North End fans, we go in suits, ballers, waistcoats and everything. And during the game, we will turn around and we will say, hats off to the Gentry. That day is about remembering those past players and supporters that basically watch us from up on high. We are the only club that do it. Every club has their dress-up day, sort of last game of the season. This is completely different. This is all about marking the day for respect. Win, lose or draw, we're not interested. If 3 points is fantastic, but if we don't get 3 points, irregardless, the whole day is about remembering those that have passed on. And it's sort of, we do a lot of it in London. We generally choose a game away in London. And when we did Fulham away before lockdown, and it was really good actually, because you had a lot of people in London coming over and turning around saying, what's going on? So then when we explain it, it puts not only Preston North End as a club into a better light, but also football fans, that we're not all hooligans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We respect, and again, sadly, you know, down the road with Jordan, that's got struck by lightning, the 9-year-old, passed away. Again, the North End fans, we'd doff our hat to him. So
it's an amazing thing.
What that's about.
So with that in mind, you know what sort of person Stu is. Stu's a very respectful chap. Anyway, without further ado, Dave Watson says, you're a civvy in a blue suit. Oh. This is all just military banter, guys. Do not worry.
Keep them coming, Dave. Keep them coming.
So, this is how we're doing it. No questions. Wrote down. So we're going to flow with it. So,
go on.
I'll start, Stuart, Stu, tell us about your upbringing. How, you know, what's your earliest memory? Who was your idol, being from primary school, family life? Give us an insight into what it was
like. Right. My earliest memory was my dad built a wishing well in the front garden, and it was right by a really tall hedge. I mean, this hedge was nigh on 6 foot tall, and I used to climb up on top of the roof of this wishing well and jump through the hedge when my dad was coming home from work to scare him. Over the years, the hedge sort of went along and then it dipped where I could through. That's probably my earliest memory. My next earliest memory was, sadly, just after my dad passed away when I was 6. On my next birthday, my mum and my brother, my older brother, bought me an army tent, and it was put up in the garden. And when we had a birthday party, they got me a big birthday cake. And all of a sudden, I distinctly remember my mum turning around and shouting, "Where's our Stuart gone? Where's our Stuart gone?" They looked inside the tent, and I was in there eating my birthday cake. And I said, "It's my birthday, and it's my cake, and I'm eating it." And I was sat there chugging away on this cake.
Like Bruce Bogtrotter. Brucey,
honestly, it's brilliant. Yeah, and then from there, I remember every so often I would be picked up by somebody, and then taken to like Moore Park opposite Preston North End.
Yeah,
where we would meet a lady there who would be with me all day. On the park and all sorts of things. And it wasn't later till when I could understand and realise that the lady they were taking me to was actually my real mum.
Wow.
Because I was a foster child, as my sister was as well, from a different family. So my mum and dad fostered myself and my sister. And when I was a very, very sick baby. I went to quite a few foster homes, before I was 1, and I basically when I was being fed, I was constantly being sick.
Yeah.
And bringing my food back. And one day, my mum had the radio on playing music, and I kept my food down. And it got her thinking. So the next time she fed me, she had the radio off, and I brought my food back. And it turned out that music was soothing and relaxing me, and I was keeping my food down. And pretty much the same now. I sort of digest my food better if I'm listening to music.
That's
It's really
mad, isn't it?
It's really weird, mate. It's really weird.
Well, most Prestonians are, aren't they?
Well, you know. Special, mate. That's why I went in the RAF. Special. I'll get that in before Dave does. So yeah, once my dad passed away.
On that, Stu. So your dad passing away at 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Would that have been? Would that have been your foster father then?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But obviously you didn't know this at the time.
No. And as I got older, I found sort of more information out that basically when my dad passed away, social services, and we're going back to 1979 here, social services wanted to take both me and my sister away from my foster mum because she would have been a single parent with 3 children.
Wow.
Because my brother was 15 at the time. And my brother decided that he was going to leave high school without any qualifications whatsoever, to go and start working and bringing money in. My mum was working, so that basically we had 2 incomes, and my mum could fight to keep me and my sister. And without that sort of level of commitment and love and support, me and my sister could have ended up anywhere. So, as I've always said, that what I try to strive and do is to make my brother proud. I know that my mum was proud before she passed away, which we'll get to in a bit. But I could never ever repay them.
No, it's difficult, isn't it? Lynn says, "Is it classical music that you like?"
Do you know something? Yes, I do like classical music. I like lots of different types of music. The only thing I don't like is I'm not overly keen on rap.
Crap.
Not keen on it. And I'm not keen on the old thrash metal. I do like a bit of heavy metal, but I'm not keen on thrash.
Yeah.
The old...
Yeah, I can't stand that. So...
But classical, yes, I can sit there and listen to classical quite easily. Especially, obviously, Elgar's Nimrod, for obvious reasons.
And when you're eating your food, that's what you go to, is it?
I like listening to Nimrod, mate. I love it. And Jerusalem. Oh, I love Jerusalem.
Jerusalem was played at my wedding.
Oh, I could listen to Jerusalem all day, mate.
Yeah, it's my father-in-law's favourite, that, so we played it at our wedding.
Well, today when I did the Merce service, we actually went to go and pick the standards up at the altar, and the mayor decided that he wanted Jerusalem as the final hymn, so we were slow marching down the actual central aisle to pick the standards up to Jerusalem, mate. Oh,
wow. Amazing.
I were up there, mate. Loved it.
Lynn says, did you have peeled grapes at the same time?
What, peeled grapes with listening to classical music?
Yeah, because you're posh. So just going back now, so you lost your dad when you were 6, but you wasn't aware that he was just foster father. And your brother obviously quit school, went to work to support you and your mum and your sister. Yeah. How, other than that, how did it affect you losing your dad at that time?
From what I can remember, Ben, because obviously I was still very young. I was only 6.
Yeah,
I did miss my dad. I mean, my dad was. I remember my dad being strict. My dad was strict. But he was fair. My dad was very, very fair. And one of the other memories I do remember was my dad would sing to my mum, and he would always sing Jim Reeves. He was a big Jim Reeves fan, which is probably where I get it from. That I like listening to Jim Reeves, and he used to sing "I Love You Because" to my mum all the time. So I do remember that. I remember that quite well. But yeah, but my brother stepped up as a father figure, and at 15 and 16, do you know what I mean? I mean that's a lot. That's a lot for somebody to do at that age. But he did it because without him, we'd have been gone.
Yeah, exactly. Because and that was the thing back then. You could take that option, couldn't you? You know, if you had to support your family, you could leave school earlier and do what you had to do. And it's an amazing thing.
Well,
So really,
he went and got a job working on Preston Market.
right? So you were 6
at
and he were 15, working to
well, at
support him.
15, he started working on market stalls full time at 15. Then when he was, I think he was 17, he applied to work for the council, working on the market, sort of like doing all the boards and trestles and the boxes and stuff like that. And my brother is now, hang on, my brother's 62, 63 now, and he's just retired from the market. So he's worked all his life on the market.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And he did that so that the family could be held together.
Yeah.
And like you say, nothing, you'll never ever feel like you can repay that.
No.
Because
Ben, no matter what, honestly, Ben, I swear to God, now I could win £185 million on the Euro lottery and give my brother £185 million. That still wouldn't be enough.
Yeah.
For what he did. It wouldn't, because I could have ended up anywhere, absolutely anywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So do you still? So I take it you've still got a very good relationship with your brother then?
No. No. I wish I did have. It's not for the want of trying. My mum. My mum was hard work at times.
Mums are.
Mums can be hard work, but my mum was really hard work, and my brother, sadly, after my sister passed away in '92, her daughter had to be. My brother sort of looked after her, but then she had to be adopted, not fostered, because her dad was a complete and utter nutter. And for her own safety, she had to be adopted. Now, my brother wasn't allowed to mention any of this, even to anybody in the family, which is understandable. We couldn't go looking for her, so my mum held my brother responsible for not keeping her. So not only did she lose a daughter, she lost a granddaughter.
Yeah.
And my mum held my brother responsible for that. Now, we obviously didn't know any of this for years, and my brother sadly didn't speak to my mum from that day in 1993, really to the day that she died, 18 months ago. He never really spoke to her again. And I tried to get them to bury the bloody hatchet, because family is important to me. And even the day before, my mum, before she went, I rung my brother and said, you know, Billy, you're gonna have to come because she's going.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Stu. Just take your time, mate.
He didn't come. But my mum got the last laugh. My mum got the last laugh because my brother turned around and said to me when I was sorting my mum's service out that if I want anything, I've just got to ask him.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I want anything, Billy, all I want is for you to help me carry my mummy, because she brought you into the world. It's only right you take her back out. And he carried my mum in, so she'd have been up there. She'd have been up there like this, giving it all that. You know what I mean?
And
She got the last.
Take it from this, Stu. This is your biological mum.
No, my foster mum.
Your foster mum, right? Okay.
Right, it's a bit confusing. The last time. Oh, sorry about that, guys.
No, you're right. Take your time, mate. It's sad.
The last time I saw my real mum, I'd just come out of trade training. I was at Cranwell, and pretty much the first leave that I got, I come back to Preston, and I went to a place called Canterbury Hall in Preston, which Dave will know. He'll remember that place. And I used to play pool for him when I was younger, when I was a kid, that when I was 14, 15. So I went back there and had a pint just to say hello to everybody. And there was a country and western night on, and my real mum was there.
Wow.
Just out of the blue, and I recognised her and I said hey, and she was like, talking to me and going, "What are you doing with yourselves now?" I said, "Well, I'm on leave from the RAF because I joined up," and she took me around the entire room, introducing me as her son, and it was just false, Ben.
Yeah, didn't feel
it was false. No, it didn't. It didn't. And I know that she's probably. Yeah, she probably was proud that I'd done something with my life, but it just wasn't right, man.
No, so
just didn't feel it.
So your brother though, is your brother your biological brother, or was he your foster brother?
No. My brother was my foster mum's biological son.
Right, because that's where I got confused when you said she brought him into our life. I've lost it here, so now I
sorry,
but he was your brother, but you class him 100% as your brother.
Oh God, yeah. To put things into perspective, Ben, that our Julie was from another foster family.
Right.
But we grew up together. She's my sister, Billy's my brother, and my mum was my mum. Jim was my dad. At one point, I remember my mum telling us that there was a book wrote apparently about fostering, and me and my sister were mentioned in this book because we were one of the longest foster children on record. Because we normally, when you're fostered, you'll go from one foster family to another, or you'll go back to your natural parents can apply to get you back and stuff like that. We went literally from in babies practically breastfeeding right the way through till we left high school with the same foster family.
Wow, that's amazing. So, it's amazing what people can offer. Like say your mum, for instance, being a foster parent, and your dad. It's just so amazing that they can give you that love, and that you feel. And I'm assuming here that you don't feel like you missed out on anything. You got everything you wanted in life, the mum and a dad and brothers and sisters.
Yeah, one sec, Ewan. Just to let you know, mate, I've turned the comments off on you because I'm doing a live with Ben. If you want to pop over to the other side to Mickey's Army, you can ask questions if you want, mate. This is Ewan that might be coming over. He's got a tag name of like Cheesy Chesney Hawks.
Yeah, we're friends on here.
Yeah.
Well, we are anyway.
So yeah. It was. Do you know something? I had even though I grew up on the estate I grew up on was we didn't have a pot to piss in, Ben. We didn't have a pot to piss in, mate.
It makes great people though, doesn't it? That.
Well, do you know something? That we were happy as well. My mum, really pushed the boat out whenever she could to provide for us, as did my brother. It's. But when I was growing up, getting into my my teenage years, I sort of got a job after school and on Saturday mornings and Saturday late afternoons working on the market. From going from there, I would go to a place in Preston called the T-Bar, where on a Saturday afternoon, I would collect the pots and stuff like that and wash the pots and stuff in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I'd also help out at hairdressers doing all sorts of stuff, sweeping up, cleaning up outside, and all sorts. You name it, I would do it. One of the other things that I used to do, and I really enjoyed doing this, and it's this gentleman's the reason why I joined up as well, I think, in my subconscious. There's an old boy called Tom that he lived round the corner from where we moved to when I was, what would I have been then? I'd been about 9. We moved onto this estate, a brand new estate. And when I started sort of doing odd jobs all over the place, because my mum couldn't give us spending money, she didn't have it. So I used to go out and earn my own. But I used to go around and do odd jobs and knock on people's doors and see if they wanted anything doing. And there was one old boy called Tom that I used to sort of go and do odd jobs, but I'd sit there a lot of the time just keeping him company and watching TV and stuff and watching the snooker. And Tom, one thing that always stuck in my mind, and I brought this back up to him when I came home on leave, and it was the same time actually, when that same leave when I met my mum. I went back to go and see Tom, and his bungalow was empty. So I'm round the back knocking on the door, and one of the neighbours come out, and I'd not seen Tom for probably about 4 or 5 years. And he said, "Can I help you?" And I've come to see Tom. He said, "Who are you?" I said, "I used to come around when I was a little kid, do our jobs for him and sit with him." He said, "Oh, you're Stuart, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I said, where is he?" He said, "Oh, unfortunately, he's up at Whittingham Hospital. He's got dementia and he's not in a good way." So I literally jumped on the bus because I wasn't driving then and shot up to Whittingham to go and see him. And I explained to him that I'm not family, but he was a very good friend, and I was on leave from the RAF, and is there any chance I could see him? And they let me go and see him. And he sort of sat there in his own little world. But as I was talking to him, I remember turning around and saying to him, I said, "I tell you what, Tom," I said, "now that I've joined the RAF, I remember when we used to sit there and we used to watch the snooker, and David Vine used to do the commentary, and he used to mute the TV and turn around and go, 'I'm not pissing listening to him.' He used to be my parade marshal. He shouted at me all the bloody time, 'I'm not frigging listening to him.' And he'd mute David Vine. And then all of a sudden, he had this smile on his face. And I'd like to think that something twigged.
Well, they say, don't they, there's certain things that, even when they've got dementia, certain things they remember like it's always been there. And you're probably quite thinking that might have just been that emotional connection that he had with you, that actually he remembered. And
the thing about it is, Ben, is that I'm so glad that I did go and see him, because about 4 or 5 days later, I went back to Cranwell, and when I was on my very first tea break at 10 o'clock in the morning, I went down to East Wing and used the payphone, and I rang Whittingham up to see how he was doing, and sadly he'd passed.
Oh, bless.
So,
but it's quite smart. It's quite good, though, isn't it? The fact that you got, it's like fate, isn't it? You got that chance to go and see him.
Yeah, and I'm quite glad that I did.
Because knowing the military as you do, you don't get it. Don't get every weekend.
Special, mate. Yeah, Tom was something special. He was a good lad. He was a top bloke, and we used to have some right laughs. Bloody hell, he was proper old school as well. He was proper old school. You know, it'd be stuff that he'd come out with, and even though we were younger, we're like, "Tom, you can't say stuff like that." Sodden. He was like proper old school.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That the old boys were best, weren't they? The proper boys, weren't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but no, it's good that you got to see that. So
yeah.
Obviously, what about your foster mum? What did she think about you joining the forces?
She was proud. She came down obviously to Swindon to see me pass out. it was a bloody awful day. It was an awful day. There was like low, like mist and fog, and well, I won't say fog. It was misty. It was misty as hell, mate. It was really, and it was cold because it was like 28th of November 1990. It was bloody cold.
You're old juice, you.
Oh, it was cold. Oh, Jesus, mate. And I remember we had a Vulcan bomber that was flying over. I'm sure it was a Vulcan bomber. And we were all stood there, like, stood to attention. And obviously, you can't look up and look round. But, like, we're all there next to each other going, I can fucking hear it, but I can't see it. Nobody could see anything. You could hear it, but you couldn't see it.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Just 1 second before we go to the next question.
Old gentlemen, the best one. Yeah, they are. Yeah, the old boys.
Just want to.
Oh, here it goes.
Just want to put that up. You know what I mean? You see that, Ben? You see that? Look at this, Ben. Look at it.
It's a bullseye, Stu. It's a bullseye.
Have you seen it, Ben? Have you seen it?
This is what you could have won.
Have you seen it? Wait for Ben's. Wait for Dave's comment.
He'll have buggered off, all Dave. He's had enough of us.
Has he gone?
He probably will have done. You know what he's like.
Miserable sod.
So you've done that and you've out. So you've gone from being 6-year-old losing your dad, finding out you've got your fostered basically, and you've joined RAF and poor old chap.
Yeah, well, joining the RAF. When I was 16, one of the first jobs I ever had was, like every other 16-year-old, working for McDonald's.
Right.
And it was a rather short-lived career, that, because there was a thing that was in the sorry, Ben, but obviously we're going back to them. There was a thing going around in the Sun newspaper. I think started in the Sun newspaper or one of the tabloids that McDonald's.
It means scum. Newspaper.
Yeah, one of the tabloids had reported that McDonald's was using kangaroo meat in the Big Macs. And I was on the counter. One of my mates turned up and asked for a Big Mac, and I looked behind and there was none on the actual tray. So I naturally just turned around and I went, "One Kanga burger, please. Can we have a word?" Bye-bye.
Typical scum, always reporting false information, eh?
Well, you know. So yeah, I did that. I did lettuce picking at farmers' fields. Did a bit of a chefing course with college, with working, because I ended up going into a working boys hostel. Because I'd fallen out with my mum's new husband, ended up wrapping a marble table around his head. So I ended up being taken out and put into a working boys hostel. So
did
part
that
of
interfere with your relationship, Stu?
Sorry?
Did it interfere a lot with your mum's relationship and yourself because of him?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, a bit. I used to. Well, I'll get to this. But I'd gone from dead end job to dead end job, and one day I'd finished working in the kitchens of an old people's home, and I was walking down Fishergate and past the RAF careers, and I sort of looked in and I went, I can't frigging it. So I went in and inquired about it. They said, "What qualifications have you got?" So I told them. And they gave me the date for the test, so I took the test. And they said, "Right, these are the trades that you can apply for."
What test would it, Stuart? Did you have to sniff cheese and guess it?
So anyway, when I was at high school, don't ask me why, but I wanted to be a civil service steward in the Merchant Navy, sort of seeing the world and stuff, and being paid to do it. So I didn't get the right qualifications to go to Nautical College in Fleetwood. So that was thrown out. But then when I went to the RAF and I did my my aptitude tests, one of the trades that was available was a Silver Service Steward. And I thought, Merchant Navy, RAF, why not? So, next thing you know, mate, I'm on.
Steph says, what did he have to do? Learn to pair cheese and wine.
So yeah, next thing you know, I'm stood there taking the oath of allegiance, and the following day I'm on a frigging train.
Unbelievable. So it was that quick for you next day?
Oh yeah. Oh, I tell you what, Ben, honestly, back then, mate, in the 90s, like when I joined in 1990, it was September 25th, 1990, I joined. That's when I got the train. And I'm telling you now, mate, it was like that. You went in, you spoke to somebody, you did your aptitude tests. Next thing you know, you were having like a slight medical and stuff like that, and all this kind of palaver. It was very small, but then next thing you know, you're in this bloody office, swearing the oath of allegiance. There's your warrant cop. We'll see you at Swinderby tomorrow. Get on train in the morning.
So for those of you that might not be 100% what he means by his oath of allegiance, what's the oath of allegiance for?
The oath of allegiance is basically that we will basically stand our ground. We will defend Her Majesty and her heirs and successors, and basically we'll follow orders, and we will give our all. And I'm pretty sure that Ben is probably very much the same as me, even though I am now. I'm never a civilian. We're never civilians again. We're never civvies. We're always ex-servicemen, veterans, and that oath of allegiance will stand till we take our last breath. I will do whatever I have to do to defend Her Majesty. I'm telling you now, whatever I have to do. Too bloody right, I would.
100%, and it's a proud moment when you say it out loud, and then you have to sign it. Because I was 16 when I joined, so my mum had to. I went and I did it, and my mum had to sign the actual papers because I was 16.
Right.
Because you're not allowed to do
it. I was 17 when I joined, and I don't remember anybody signing mine.
It's probably because you joined RAF. It weren't as dangerous.
I think they're happy to get rid of me. You're a cocky.
So once you've done that, Stu, and you've done your training, so you've gone.
I'll tell you now, you're saying it's not dangerous. Some of those butter knives were fucking sharp.
And the cheese was, and the wine was quite strong also. Give you a bad heady morning.
I'll tell you what, the champagne were on the graduation ceremonies.
See, they graduate, we pass out. That's the difference, guys.
All right. Well, no, I'm on about the officers graduating, mate. I passed out as well several times.
Wow. So, once you've done that and you pass your training, you've done your passing out parade, how did you find it, like, going into a man's world? No disrespect, I'm not being sexist, but the man's world of the RAF, because you turn up, I know myself, you turn up.
It was tough.
What the fuck's all these big men?
It was tough. I've got to admit, the very same day that we arrived at Swinderby, our corporal turned around and went, "Right, you fucking horrible little lot, you're gonna do fucking this, you're gonna do that. You will shit when I tell you to fucking shit. You will eat when I tell you to fucking eat, brother. If you don't like it, there's the fucking bus." 3 of them walked out, mate, straight on the bus.
What, all the way to training?
3 of them, mate. 3 of them. We'd literally got off the train, on the bus, and into Swinderby. 3 of them turned around and went, "Yeah, fuck that." Straight back on the bus, mate. Gone. See ya. Walked out, mate. What did you expect? Fucking Butlins.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant.
So
yeah, it was hard. It was hard, but as you know, Ben, it's not like it now. It's not like it now. It's pretty soft now, to be honest with you, when you look at it. But the whole point is that they take the boy, they break you down to nothing. Literally, when you see the shit at the bottom of a barrel, you're below that.
Yeah.
They break you down to nothing, and then they will mould you back up.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing I ever did. It's the best thing I ever did. Apart from marrying the wife, obviously.
She says otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think she means it.
How long did
Either
you
that or
serve,
she's a good
Stu?
liar. Eh?
How long did you serve?
I did 3.5 years, mate, because I messed up.
You messed up.
Young and foolish, mate.
And what did you do to mess up, Stu?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
You've got to tell us. Come on. What did you do? You can make it sound better if you have to.
Well, you know that the males are not allowed in the female blocks, don't you?
For fuck's sake, Stu.
Oh no! It got better than that. Got better than that. So anyway, there was me. There was a WAF, which is the female RAF, and a female officer cadet.
Did you have a good time?
Fucking hell, mate. Only trouble was, silly cow, she jumped out of bed and opened the door. WAF orderly officer there, never give me time to jump out at window. Silly bitch.
So that were it, you were booted out, were you?
There was a number of other things. I've been married once before, and I got into a lot of debt and stuff, and obviously junior ranks can't have debt.
Really?
Yeah, junior ranks can't have debt, mate. You're not allowed debt. I got into... I was gambling a lot. I was a bad gambler. And I was still a bad gambler when I come out. And it was Mandy that got me off it.
Really?
She helped me get off it. Oh, yeah. She helped me get off it and stuff. And then not long after we met, which was... we actually first met on the 15th of December, 1995.
Wow.
Was when we first met, which was her birthday. And it was only passing. I just gave her a kiss for her birthday. And then on New Year's Eve, 2 weeks later, she was out with her friends and stuff and followed me from pub to pub to pub. And because she knew it was a good thing, you see, Ben. And
she didn't know your story.
Shush. So anyway, we sort of started seeing each other, and I'll never forget it, mate. She was getting me off gambling, but she invited me round to a friend's house to have tea. So I went round to her friend's house to have tea, and as I always turn around and say, it was spaghetti bolognese a la Titanic. There was more water on the plate than there was actually in the pan. This spaghetti was all over the place. Funny though. And we sort of started seeing each other, and it was a month later that I was being polite. I was waiting. We weren't actually doing anything. We slept together a couple of times, but we didn't do anything. And I was being gentlemanly. I wasn't trying to just get me underway. And then one morning at 10:30 in the morning, she rocked up at my side of my bed. I was asleep in bed, and she was in tears. So obviously I jumped out of bed. What the hell's going on? What's up? And she turned around and she said, I told you that my friend was married. I went, yeah. She went, well, it wasn't her that was married, it was me. And I've just walked out of my husband for you.
Fucking hell. How did that make you feel?
Well, I wasn't going to dump her because I loved her.
That is
25 years later, mate, we're still here.
It's cute, ain't it? So would you more or less say, well, like, love at first sight then? Or a strong connection at first sight?
No, I would. I would. And she helped me get off gambling. And the other thing that helped me get off gambling was the fact that she got pregnant, which I blame Frankie Howard for. Frankie Howard's fault. Because Up Pompeii was on the TV that night and she got rather amorous. So it's Frankie's fault.
Fair enough, innit?
And she got pregnant, and obviously, I was bringing somebody else into the world, and I have responsibilities now. I couldn't just be selfish and go gambling my money away. So I had to sort myself out, and I sorted myself out.
What were you doing for work at this time then?
Well, when I came out of the RAF, what do we do, Ben? Most of the time when you come out the military,
security.
Mm-hmm. I started working for a relatively new company in Preston, which is still going now. They gave me my chance to get employed. I tried to get into catering. I even went down to London for an interview.
Wow.
The Hyde Park Hotel. I went down there for an interview. And it was only when I came back up to Preston and I applied for a job at the Tickle Trout that they turned around and told me the truth. There's not going to be any hotel that's going to touch me because I'm overqualified. They have managers that do accommodation. They have managers that do the cleaning. They have managers that do the bar, managers that do reception. I can do all that standing on my fucking head.
Yeah.
Because that's what you had to do when you were in the mess. You had to deal with everything.
And that's the problem, innit? That's the problem. People always say, how can you be overqualified? But you can.
Oh, yeah. And to be honest with you, I could do all the manager's jobs. We used to, in the RAF, you're running a bar, you're ordering stocks, you're doing the books, you're on the reception, you're running the accommodation side and all sorts of stuff. And you just get it done. You're trained to do that, so you just get it done. And it was the Tickle Trout that told me the truth, that I was overqualified. So
the good old
Tickle
Trout.
Tickle Trout. So I ended up going into security, and I've been in that pretty much ever since. I've done a couple of other jobs in between when there's been no work around.
Yeah.
One of them was running a pawn shop.
Ooh, I like that. Tell me more. No, don't. We'll get banned. I bet that were a hard on. I mean, a hard one to do. People to
Yeah, it was a hard one to do, mate. Yeah, it was a hard one to do. Yeah. People just kept coming and going, if you know what I mean. Anyway,
so obviously you've said now you've got out of the army, you're doing these different jobs, and you've got away from gambling because you've got a child on the way. How old were you when you were expecting your first child then?
Oh Christ. 23.
First child at 23.
Yeah.
That's where he's got his Karma. That's where you got your Kama Sutra book from, is it? Oh, I'd like to see what's in his top drawer. How many kids? How many kids do you have now, Stu?
Two boys.
2 boys. So you've got your first one at 23. How did that change your life? What was the first moment? Can you remember the first moment you got your boy?
Right. The day that Sean was born, Mandy was in labour, and it was quite an extensive. It went on for a little bit. So she said, "Go outside and have a fag. Go have a fag, it'll be all right." I said, "Are you sure?" Yeah, go and have one. So I went outside to have a fag. On my way back, there was a woman in the room next door to Mandy who was in the throes of giving birth, and she was listening to Rock FM, or Red Rose Radio as it were back then. And you will never guess what they were playing on the radio when she was giving birth.
Not Jerusalem.
Salt and Pepper's Push It. I pissed my sides, mate. I lost it. The fucking tears were rolling down my face, mate. I'm telling you. It was hilarious.
Brilliant.
And when Sean was born, a couple of hours later, it was very much, I've got to admit, it was very much like the Del Boy moment when Damien was born in the hospital and stuff, from Moneyfuls and Horses, and he's holding Damien in his arms. And I was just promising him the earth. that he'd never want for anything, and that I'd always be there, and always. It's if there's anybody that's quite young that's sort of listening on Mickey's Army, and if your missus is pregnant or you're thinking of having children, I'm telling you now, when she goes into labour, move heaven and fucking earth to be there, because you will never see anything as beautiful as seeing your child born.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
Ever.
And they're always special as each other. Like, you think, oh, first one must have been really special. To be fair, first one, you're shitting yourself. Second one, you've been through it, so it's a bit easier. But there's not one prouder moment than the other. But if you have 10 kids, the moment's still the same.
Every single one, mate. It's just amazing. John was the same.
How old were you when you had John?
When we had John, I was 26.
So 3 years later.
Well, 25, just about to be 26. So I'd say 26.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've grafted my bollocks off, Ben, to provide, because Mandy she was working, but she got injured. She damaged her back, so she couldn't work for years. So the only money coming in was what I was earning, and doing security. It's not a lot.
No.
And I was doing some really shit jobs. One of the jobs that I ended up doing was I would start work. I would start work at 7 o'clock on a Friday night in Manchester, and go from one site to the other site, back to the other site, back to the other site, and I didn't stop doing that until 7:45 on a Monday morning.
Wow.
And then getting the bus home. Just getting my head down for a couple of hours wherever I could.
Yeah, just to do what... That's the thing, though, isn't it? That's what dads do. That's what mums do. The parents, in general. They'll do whatever they have to do to feed the kids, to feed the family, support them.
Yep. Oh, it's gone blue.
Blue. A bit of blue. That's because you just told us what you've been doing.
Bit of blue
for dads. So, did life change much once you got your 2 kids?
Yeah, life did change, because obviously you do what you have to do. Many a time, me and Mandy had just have toast for our tea to make sure that the kids got fed. You try and provide as best you can for them, and you just crack on. Yeah. It all comes together. Yes, it is hard, but life is hard. Life's difficult.
And you got to think, our parents before us did it for us, didn't they?
Well, exactly. I mean, I keep saying to my eldest that, life isn't going to give you fucking lemons. You have to go out and you've got to go and get them yourself. Yeah. You've got to go and earn what you need. Nobody's going to hand it to you on a silver platter.
Talking of silver platters, you've had enough of them, Stu. I can't believe you fell into that one. He knew that were coming, guys. Silver spoon, silver platter, cheese board, wine, whatever he wanted. He had 3 knives, 3 forks, and 3 spoons.
Hang on 1 second. 1 second, Ben. 1 second. Let me. Where is it? Let me just put that green one on there, just so it blends in with your face. I'll just put that green one on, Ben.
So once you got your 2, you've had your kids and you're working all hours, God. What happened after that? Like, with the kids growing up, were there any big changes in life? Were there any trouble that occurred, or loss that like almost knocked you back, or relapses with gambling? Was there any of that?
Well, I mean, when I was in the RAF, my sister passed away in '92. I mean, that was really, really sudden.
Yeah,
that was really sudden. I was in bed, and you know what it's like, Ben, when you're living in the block. If you got weekend off and some poor bugger's having to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, they make a point of banging on your door to wake you up, just to piss you off.
Yeah.
So I'm in bed asleep, and this was about about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. So I was banging on the door. So I ignored it. Next thing you know, there's another bang on the door. And I literally shouted, "Fuck off." So there's proper big crack on the door. So I've jumped out of bed to have a pop. And as I've opened the door, stood there in my scuds, commanding officers there, not COs there. And the orderly officer, he stood there and like, straight away bolted to attention. Said, "Sorry, sir." I thought the lads were winding me up. Said, "Do you mind if I come in and have a word?" I went, "No, sir, no." So he come in and he's in my room and he said, "Your brother's been on the phone. Is it Billy?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Right." He said, "Your sister's in hospital, so we need you to get up, get washed and shaved, go and get some breakfast, and then come to the guard room." So with family being as important as it is, bollocks at shower, got dressed, packed my bag, run to the guard room, got told to go and get some breakfast. So I went to go and get some breakfast. And then when I came back, I got back to the guard room about 25 to 8. And the orderly officer's on the phone and he's like, sit down. So I've sat down. And when he come off the phone, he turned around and said, "That was your brother on the phone." I said, "Right." He said, "I'm sorry to say, your sister's passed away quarter of an hour ago." So I never got a chance to see her before she went. And the last words I said to my sister were in anger. Because brothers and sisters, you fight. You argue.
All the time.
And they were the last words that I said to her were in anger. And I remember when I came home straight away, and it just didn't seem right. But then as soon as I got off the train at Preston, it wasn't right. Preston didn't feel the same, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
something
lost
missing.
its glory, it lost its sparkle.
So I came over at Bridge, and my brother was there with his wife. And I remember him turning around and saying that I had to be strong for my mum, because obviously I was in the forces now, and I had to be a man and grown up and be strong. And I kept it together right up until my sister's service, when I stood at the bottom of the coffin, did an about turn, which I didn't want to do because I felt that if I was doing an about turn, I was turning my back on her.
Yeah.
But I did an about turn, and I just broke down, and I felt that I'd let my mum down because I cracked. So yeah, that was tough. And then about 7 months later, I had a breakdown of a relationship of a lass I was seeing that was cheating on me. And simple as, and I couldn't take it anymore.
No, that were enough to break everything, because you're already emotionally drained.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
I basically got a full bottle of vodka and a bottle of Southern Comfort, necked them both. This might be a crisis point, guys, so just to give you a warning. And I basically just got a load of pills and necked them, a load of paracetamols and just necked them. Luckily enough, I took enough to get rid of a really nasty headache, but I wanted it all to stop. And I remember it was selfish. It was very, very selfish. But after I took them in the kitchen at home, I went upstairs and I gave my mum a kiss and I said goodnight to her and went to bed, not expecting to wake up. And I did, which I was pissed off about.
Thanks fuck for that.
Well, that following day when I did wake up, and I sat thinking about it, and I thought, you dickhead. And I went to A&E, told them what I'd done. I was asked to go into, would have volunteered to go to the Avondale ward, which was the Fruit Loop ward. So I volunteered. The following morning, breakfast come. All I had was a bread roll, a little pack of butter, and some jam. I'm fucking RAF. I want a brekkie. So,
just a quick one, Stu. Beck says,
yeah.
how old was your sister when she passed?
My sister was, let me get this right, she was 18, approaching 19.
Wow. So she was bloody young then.
Yeah. And she basically died of a very rare, very, very rare heart condition that basically once you've got it, there's nothing they can do. And it crushed her heart to the size of a pea. Now, that was really, really, really tough.
I can imagine.
Obviously, you know what I mean. It's, like I said, family is important to me, because without, again, that commitment that my mum and my brother made, I wouldn't have had it.
No.
And you know, all the family, my cousins and that, all accepted me as part of the family. So I was very, very lucky, and then to lose my sister like that, and again, guilt, Ben, guilt. I was riddled with guilt because of the last words I said to her. That was tough. That was really, really tough. But it's a learning curve. I now, as you know, with the job that I do, I deal with a lot of mental health.
Yeah.
Where I work, and I now refer back to that situation and that point when I'm talking to somebody that is thinking about harming themselves. Because when I say, and I tell them, when I tell you that I know exactly where you are, I fucking know exactly where you are, because I've been there. Yeah. And it is not a nice place. It's a very, very lonely place to be.
Yeah, and it's like you say, when that guilt, whilst you might learn to deal with it a bit, it never go. I can imagine it never goes, because you will always look back and say the last things I said.
Now, right. I carried that guilt till about 5 years ago. Mandy persuaded me to go and see a clairvoyant, which, a lot of bollocks. And I said, look, it's a lot of crap. And she went, no, go and see her. She's really, really good. She's really, really good. I said, listen, in the end, I gave up and I went, listen, if I go and see her, nobody knows why. I don't want anybody to know why I'm going, right? So I went, and she's there, and she's going, oh, pick this stone. Oh, it's interesting you picked that stone. And all, yeah, whatever, love. But then, as I was sat there, she's looking at me, and she looks over my shoulder. And I rolled my eyes and went, oh, here we go. She goes, no, she said, there's somebody stood right by you. She said, if there's anybody you want to speak to, who would it be? And I went, well, if there's anybody, it'll be my sister I want to speak to. She went, well, it is a girl, and she stood there for some reason, and I don't know why, but she stood there and she's doing this on her chest. She said, do you not mind me asking how did she die? And I said, well, she had this really rare heart disease, and it basically crushed her heart, so her heart gave in. She went, well, that would explain this, why she's doing this. And I started going cold, getting chills. And then she turned around and she said this to me, no prompt, mate, whatsoever. She went, she's turning around and she's telling me to tell you. One sec. No, I've still got some of that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You say hello to Ben?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Mandy, love.
Is it black in your head, is it?
No, I could never do that.
See? Loves me. Told you, Ben, she loves me.
I
Tolerate me, yeah. Fucking feeling. So without any prompting, she then turned around and she said, she's telling me that she doesn't hold any grudge against you. She's happy where she is. And she's happy that you're getting on.
Wow.
And I left that room like fucking Linford Christie, mate. I was in tears. I jumped in my car. Mandy come back to the car straight away. I never spoke to anybody. The only person that knew what had happened was me, her, and then when I told Mandy. They're the only people that knew. Nobody else was told. Mandy's mum and dad weren't told. My mum wasn't told. Nobody. But it gave me some peace.
Yeah.
To know that she'd forgiven me. Now, this bit's probably going to freak a lot of you out. It's going to freak a lot of you out. But the day my mum passed away, which was the 5th of October 2019, so just before the pandemic, that morning, when I was visiting my mum, which was a Saturday morning, my mum, I've never ever seen her eyes as wide. My mum's eyesight was really bad, to the point. Do you remember Ollie from On the Buses?
Yeah.
You know, with the big thick bottom glasses. That was my mum. My mum was her glasses were that thick. Her eyes were bad. But I have never seen my mum's eyes as wide in my life, and she was staring pinpoint to the wall. And the last words that my mum said was window. That was the last word she said, was window. And she wanted the window open so that her soul could go. Now, it was a week after. My mum all that morning was doing something I've never seen her do before in my life. But I thought my mum was trying to tell me that she loved me, because she couldn't talk in the end, really. She really struggled. But it was only about 5 days later, Mandy was at her mum's, and Mandy turned around and went, "Oh my God, I don't believe it." And when Mandy told me, that morning, when
You're all right, Stu. While you get your breath, Joe, I'll just tell you, Rebecca says that her nana said the exact same thing about the window.
Yeah. Well, that morning, when my mum was passing, my mum constantly kept pulling her nightie down. And she kept doing this.
Wow.
So, I know she's happy, because I know that she's back with my sister.
Yeah.
Don't help me, but yeah.
That's why we're here, Stu. We'll have to make you happy now.
Dickhead.
And your cheese boy. Another one, Stu, was, did you feel like a weight had been lifted off your shoulder? That was about when you went to clairvoyant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately. It was like, how can I put it? It's like the old 1920s mafia days of New York. You get given the concrete overcoat and you're at the bottom of the Hudson River. You manage to break free of that overcoat and you're heading up and getting oxygen. It felt like that.
Wow.
It was a massive weight lifted immediately because I felt so guilty that they were the last words I said to her, and I had no way of telling her I didn't mean it. Because when they're gone, they're gone. And this is what I said. This is what I said to my brother the day before my mum passed. That I had to carry around that guilt for all those years because of the last words I said to my sister, and I don't want my brother to go through the same by not making peace with my mum before she goes.
Yeah.
But he just wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do it. I can't force him. I tried, but I can't, and I couldn't do it.
Holly says you're an amazing man, Stu, and they know that, as do we. How long did you spend on the Avondale ward, my mum asked? 5 minutes.
One night.
That were it, you were off.
One night. That morning, when they gave me a bread roll and a little punnet of butter and jam.
No cheese.
And I turned around, I actually said to him, I went, I'm going to go to Booths across the road and I'm going to go get myself a brekkie and then I'll be back. The nurse turned around and went, oh no, you're not allowed to leave. The doctor said you can't leave. I said, hang on, cock. I came here voluntarily. Get me the chuffing paperwork and I signed myself out.
Brilliant. Another question that was asked again by Bex was, did you ever think about having any more children? And did you ever think like, and I think this myself personally, I always think I would have loved to have had a daughter.
I knew that was coming. Do you know something, Ben, right? There are two very truthful sayings, actually. Any boy can make a baby, but it takes a man to keep it.
Yeah.
And you're not really a true man until you've had a girl.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's true, is that? Everyone says that, don't they?
Mandy always wanted a girl. Unfortunately, I've just got boy swimmers, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so have I. I think boy swimmers are slower. I don't have fast swimmers, which your girls tend to be.
Well, going on my two lads' IQ, yeah, they are pretty slow. I mean, anyway, yeah, so...
Bex said, no cheese board, I'm off.
Bex, don't be like that. There's no need to be like that, Bex.
So you've gone through all that, Stu, and you've been to Clairvoyant and you've had this lifted.
Yeah.
What happened after that? Obviously, you know, you've lost your mum. Your sister's passed earlier on. Is this what brought you with your brother? Like the fallout with your brother, is that due to just life in general, or was that your mum?
My mum.
And does he live?
I always took my mum's side, which I would.
Always tends to be.
But my brother, couldn't tell us why our Yasmin had to be adopted. And I understand that now. Now, I promised my mum when she was alive that I will do everything I can to find our Yasmin. And in 2017, I think it was, we'd just come back from Turkey on holiday. My eldest, Sean, was playing football for a team, and I parked up watching him from the car play his game. All of a sudden, my phone pinged. So I picked it up and I looked at it, and it turned around and said, I believe you've been trying to look for me.
Wow. How did that make you feel?
Fucking hell, man. I tell you what, I said I had a chill when my sister had messaged. Bloody hell, I got a chill when she messaged me. Christ. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. She wasn't allowed. She knew that I'd been looking, and I'd been looking for years. But she wasn't allowed to get in touch because her dad was still alive.
Right.
And obviously he couldn't know where she was. He ended up passing away, and then she was free. to sort of find her past.
Yeah.
And she got in touch. Now, I arranged for her to come and see my mum. And my mum was in tears because it was a granddaughter. But as I turned around and I said to our Yasmin, my sister's baby, my niece, I understand that, Julie is her biological mum. Julie was her biological mum. But like I said to her, your mum is your mum you've got now. She's brought you up and she is your mum.
Yeah.
And I've got the utmost respect for her mum because she's brought her up, she's looked after her, she's cared for her, she's kept her safe, and she's moulded her into the person that she is. So she is her mum. But that's a promise I kept to my mum, that I would get her found so she could see her again. And the other promise I made my mum was that I would never put her into an old people's home, and I never did.
Mm. What's your relationship like with Yasmin now?
She's a pain in the arse, just like a bloody mum.
But you're still in contact, though?
Yes, we are still
Amazing.
in contact. Yeah, she just messaged tonight, actually. Yeah, we are still in contact. She's we're having a few laughs. She likes to drink like a mum. Corona. Yeah, she likes to drink like a mother. I actually got a phone call one night when she got nicked for being drunk and disorderly. Uncle Stu to the rescue.
So, are you very close with her now?
No, I wouldn't say close, because she has her life, and I don't want to interfere in that.
Yeah.
She's got her own family and her own life now, and I don't want to interfere in that. She knows that if she ever needs me, she knows where I am. She knows that I'll be there for her. But she's got her own life, and I don't want to interfere in that, because that wouldn't be fair on her. It wouldn't be fair on me. It wouldn't be fair on her adopted family, her family, her mum, and her sisters and her brothers. That wouldn't be fair, and I'm not going to do that. But they know who I am. They know where I am. And all they have to do is reach out. They know that.
Yeah, so Holly just said then, would you like to be closer? If it didn't create complications, I suppose the answer would be yeah.
If it didn't create complications, but it would create complications. So my answer to that one, Holly, would be no, because I don't want to cause complications for her family and stuff like that. That wouldn't be fair. Yeah. Coming from a foster background myself, I as I said earlier on, when my real mum, introduced me to all the friends as her son, it was false.
Yeah, so you've seen both sides of it yourself, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. And it was false, Ben, and I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to do that to her.
Yeah, Dee Marie says, you're such an amazing man, Stu. Music Man said, Stuart, you are a legend.
No, I'm not. I'm ex-RAF, I can't be a legend.
You are a legend. And Beck says, do you live far apart?
One sec. Alexa, shut up. All right, Kevin.
They cold? No. Turn it up one.
No, we don't live far apart. We are about 20-25 miles from each other, and that's where we've been all our lives.
Wow.
We've literally been 20-25 miles apart, but we weren't allowed to look for her. We couldn't even make ways looking for her. We weren't allowed to.
Crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Yeah. When you can virtually be around the corner from somebody that it's a stranger to you, but they're your family, and you just don't know.
It's weird, isn't it? It is weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. But it's one of those. It's one of those things. It kept her safe.
Yeah. And that's all you want from family, isn't it?
And that's what it was about.
Yeah. And like Holly says, at least she knows you are there for her.
Oh yeah, she knows that. She knows that I am here. And all she has to do is ask.
Yeah.
She's only got to ask.
So how do you get on now, Stu, with like your birth mother? Do you have a relationship with her at all, or
no,
not
at all? She could have passed Ben, and I wouldn't know. The one thing that, and it does make me angry, is that my mum knows who my dad is, but she won't tell anybody.
Yeah,
she won't tell me.
Do you think? If she turned around to you and said, "This is who your dad is," would you go looking for him?
No, I don't think I would, because he hasn't bothered his ass to come looking for me.
Does he know about you?
That's the question. Does he know about me?
Because I've had this argument with somebody before. Not argument, but discussion with someone before. And I've said, because he said, I know who my dad is. I said, well, why don't you speak to him? He says, he's never bothered with me. I said, does he know? Does he know your mum was pregnant with you?
Yeah. That's the question. Does my dad know that I exist?
What if your mum...
Who knows?
Let's say, for instance, your mum turned around to you and said, Stu, your dad's this person.
Dave's my dad.
Yeah, Dave's your dad, but he doesn't know. So not only have I got to tell you, I've got to tell him also. Would that change things?
No.
Because your parents, in your eyes, are the two that brought you up and have sadly passed. Yeah.
And when my day comes, I know that both of them are going to be stood there waiting for me. Yeah. With my sister in tow. An Alpha Lager and lime.
Yeah. And a cheese board. Beck says, has she ever given you a reason as to why she won't disclose who he is?
No. The last time I saw my biological mum, Bex, I was just turned 18. And obviously I'm 48 this year. So it's 30 years since I've seen her. Before that, the last time I saw my mum before that, I was about 8.
So it's just a stranger, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Biologically, yes, she's my mum. Biologically, on paper, she's my mum.
Yeah. Now this.
But in here,
there's a question I don't know whether to ask it or not, but
no, go on, feel free, Ben.
For everybody else that's in here, this is me just thinking like outside the box. Do you think there could be a reason as to why she won't tell you? Because it could have been somebody who shouldn't have fathered you, as in a family member. Like,
who knows, mate? Could have been.
Do you know what I mean?
Could have been. And I could be like I could be like that Australian turning around and saying that Prince Philip is my dad. Who knows? What a cock! Exactly. What a cock!
Steph says, "How has it affected you? Has it affected you in any way? The question of who's my dad?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I have always wondered.
Yeah.
I have always don't wondered. Want to. And it's just the knowing. It's just the knowing of who it is.
Yeah. It's like Rebecca says, and that's why the question I asked of, she feels that she's holding it back for personal reasons, and that's why what I was sort of maybe suggesting. I'm not obviously saying giving your mum a reason or an excuse, but back in them days, people did horrible things, and still happens this day.
They certainly did. They certainly did, mate. They certainly did. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly, Dee Marie, exactly. So, what's life like today, Stu? You've got your lads. I know some things.
Today, it could be better. But it's going to get better. hopefully, fingers crossed, and touch wood, it's going to get better.
Wood.
I am a granddad, believe it or not, as a lot of you know. Unfortunately, my lad and her are no longer together, and she's stopping me and my wife from seeing our grandson, which is ripping me apart. And I mean ripping me apart.
I know all too well because I spoke to him,
Yeah, it's really hurting.
Because family's everything to you.
Yes. Yeah. And regardless of how he feels about her, regardless about how she feels about him, I couldn't give two fucks, Ben, to be honest with you. It's that little one that matters. And stopping the unrequited love that me and Mandy will have for him is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. It's not fair
If that child is not going to be harmed, that child is not in harm and is never going to be harmed, then what you are doing by keeping him away from that love that we will give him is just not right.
No. Yeah, it is. My sister said it's unfair to the child. It's unfair to you.
Yeah.
But this is what
I'm not bothered about, mate. Honestly, I tell you what, I know I understand where you're coming from as well with your sister. I understand that. But with me, I'm not arsed. I'm not bothered. Or I just crack on, mate. I go with the flow of things and I just crack on. It's the fact that he's missing out. And that's... Do you know something, Ben? I swear to God, mate, irregardless of how things turn out, I will never forgive her for this.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, like Holly says, kids should not be used as pawns. Kids always come first, no matter what the situation is. And they're too often used as a weapon to point score over people. And in the end, the only person that does miss out is that child.
Exactly.
I've got loving grandparents. My grandma's still alive. My granddad died 6 years ago. And having that relationship with your grandparents is fantastic. And only recently, and I know it won't, I know she's all right, my sister, but only recently, having spoken to a few people, I'm only just getting to know my dad's I knew my grandma, but my dad didn't do a lot to encourage us to spend time with her. We went every now and again. Didn't know my grandma. And sometimes I now think myself, my dad should have done more to make sure I knew my grandma. And you're in the very similar situation where she's holding you back from being a granddad and she's holding that child away from having grandparents.
Yeah.
And it's not fair.
There's one thing I would like to say, Ben, and I hope that yourself and everybody that is listening, I don't know how many you've got over there, about 3.
928.
And rightly so. Have you told everybody from Cheese Factory to come in? Right. You know quite well that I carried the RAF Association standard and that I am proud of my service. Do you know what is significant about today? If you've seen my Facebook wall, you haven't, have you?
I don't want Facebook, Stu.
Right, okay. 78 years ago today, in about 30 seconds, exactly 78 years ago, we had the crews of 617 Squadron were taking off on the Dam Busters raid. Exactly 78 years ago at 21:28.
Wow.
Which is very shortly, in about probably 10 or 15 seconds. So I would politely, if you don't mind, ask that we do actually have a minute silence in memory of those. Not only them, but also the 1,300 German workers that got killed in the dam when they got broke as well. So if we can have a minute.
It's on you, Stuart. Let's go.
We'll have the minute now, if you will. Cheers for that, guys.
Well done, Stu.
Cheers. So
Well,
always remember.
that speed, isn't it amazing how long a minute feels when you're just thinking?
It does. It does. But it gives you time to reflect and time to remember.
It certainly does.
And for me, that's what, like, with when you see, and I've had this argument a number of times, when you see around Remembrance Sunday and you've got the footballers that wear the poppies on the shirts and you've got some Irish players that don't wear the poppy, they refuse to wear it. I always argue back in their defence for not wearing it.
Yeah.
The simple reason that poppy is there as a symbol of the sacrifice that was made in the name of freedom and the freedom of choice. And when people are having a go at them for not wearing it for their own reasons that they're not wearing it, what you're actually doing is you're actually tarnishing the memory and the sacrifice of why they actually fought and gave their all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that poppy's not just there to remember our soldiers and all the lives, British lives that were lost. It's everybody's life that was lost.
Yeah.
Because war is horrible. War is horrible.
Yeah, there's only one loser at a war, and that's the human life. No one will ever win a war.
No.
It's postponed.
No.
You're just postponing it for another day.
And the sad thing about it is, Ben, that for me, is that we don't teach enough of it, of our own military history and stuff like that in schools for fear of upsetting certain cultures. Because when we stop teaching and we stop learning about them, it is inevitable that we are going to make the same mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Like Beck says, she's Irish and 100% behind the poppy appeal and her kids wear it, which is amazing. And I know exactly.
But the thing is, Bex, as I was saying, I can understand why there are individuals in Ireland that won't wear it.
Yeah. And that's
and I never question that. I never question that.
And that's the difference between education and non-education. The fact that and most British serving or ex-servicemen will stand there and say if they don't want to wear it, that's up to them. It's the freedom.
They've got the freedom of choice.
Yeah, we fought for freedom of choice, the freedom
exactly,
the right of freedom, and I won't lie, it used to anger me because I didn't understand it, and I used to think, why wouldn't you? And then I spoke to people, and they educated me because, as you know, I've been dyslexic. I didn't do well at school. I didn't listen too much. I could never understand it, and only of recent years, maybe 5-6 years have gone by where, and the footballer is James McLean.
Yes,
he won't wear one.
He won't. No,
and
people slate him for it.
Yeah, and it's his right.
Exactly, he has that right. He has that freedom of choice.
Yeah, and
that freedom of choice is what was fought for us to be free and have that freedom of choice and have that right. And when people question that, then what you're actually doing is you're questioning the sacrifice that has been made for that freedom.
Absolutely.
And that's not right. That's not right.
No, I understand that. Sure. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Oh, no, I wasn't having to go. We're not going political.
But no, I love nothing more than seeing the little kids walking up on Remembrance Sunday with poppies on and suit on, marching behind the old boys, and there's no better sight. No better sight.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And
that's the one thing that we, when it comes to Remembrance Sunday, that's something that we do very, very well in the UK.
yeah,
Sadly, it only goes around really Remembrance Sunday for the vast majority. It's not like it is. We don't want to be American. We do not want to be American at all. But
don't you upset Shell in here.
I'm not upsetting Shell. No, Shell. I'll be honest with you. It actually fills me with pride with the way that you guys appreciate your veterans and your ex-servicemen.
Yeah.
It really does. We don't really do that here. Whether it's the British stiff upper lip or what, I don't know, or whether it's because people either can't be arsed or they just feel that Remembrance Sunday is the only time that they have to do it. Well, no, really, you should be doing it all the time, really.
Yeah.
Because you've got veterans out there that need it.
I mean, people, and I don't mean people like myself, but myself, I've got a pin poppy.
Yeah.
And there's one on my coat, there's one on a few of my work jumpers, and they don't come off. They stay on. They stay on till they
got it on my.
I never take them off.
Yeah, I've got it on my work stuff.
Yeah, I go out
all the time.
Coat on, and it'll say
2016,
and people be like, "Well, you got a poppy on for 2016 for that?" Because I bought it in 2016, and it stays forever. It doesn't come off. There's no need for it to leave my jacket. You know that. Just look at the VD Day celebrations. Yeah, and that's the thing. As military, and it's not obviously we've gone through more or less Stuart's story, but Stuart still.
But yeah, I don't want to upset. I didn't want to upset Shell or anything by saying we don't want to be American, because we are unique. We are unique. We're all unique, but that's one thing that the Americans do very well.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like in the UK going, oh my God, thanks very much. We don't want that, but to actually make more of an effort in recognition.
Yeah, I mean, in America, the videos that you see all the time on Facebook and stuff where they're coming home and there's a basketball game on with 50, 60, 70, 80,000 spectators, and the game stops because someone's dad's come home to watch them and they put them on, and it's amazing. Where we get...
Yeah.
I've been at funerals, Stu. You've probably been at military. They get fucking stuck in traffic and people are out in the fucking horn. You know, in America, the highways are closed down. It's a police escort. This is a hero. And
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That, like you said, we don't want to be like that, but there should be more.
I think there should be. I think there should be a lot more recognition. What annoys me is that, you look at this. Have you ever heard the poem by Lance Vinecourt?
I'm infantry.
Soldier Died Today. What?
I'm infantry and dyslexic. I don't hear poems.
Right. There is a poem by Lance Vinecourt, which Shell will be aware of because he's an American. And it's called "The Soldier Died Today." And in that poem, it turns around and says, should you find your country in conflict, there we find the soldier's part. It's to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start.
Wow.
That's one of the lines from it. And never more so has anything been so true as said. And the sad thing about it is that, and I think you probably found this as well, Ben. Sadly, when the government and the MOD are finished with you, you're tossed aside. And that's it.
Yeah.
The only people that are there to support you as a veteran or an ex-serviceman or other veterans and other ex-servicemen and really nice people that you occasionally find like you've got on your side.
Yeah.
But the people that matter, the ones that matter, i.e., your politicians and your high-ranking officers in the MOD, are, I'm not going to say the word because I'm pretty sure you know the route I'm going down, but it's absolutely disgusting.
Mm.
Absolutely disgusting.
They're not there when you need
You
the
know.
support. Simple as that.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Ben. It's never going to change. It's always been the same. I think Blackadder put it perfectly. You know, with General Melchard, there's still individuals in the MOD like General Melchard.
Mm.
You know what I mean? As mad as a wire brush, mate. You know, it's unreal, and they just don't care. They just do not care. And do you know why they don't care? Because they don't have to go and stand a stag.
No, exactly.
They don't have to, do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
till that happens,
it's like Holly says as well. The respect shown to people like footballers when they pass is better than the servicemen.
well, that is another part in that poem. It's very much worth having a look on Google for it. It's called "A Soldier Died Today."
The soldier,
it's
very soldier.
A soldier died today. It's very much worth reading. There's also a video on YouTube, Ben, of it being read out as well.
That one.
I'd go for that one if I were you. But it's very moving, mate. It's very moving because it does turn around and say about you know that the sitting in the club and telling stories of old, and people would roll their eyes and laugh about these stories, but his pals and his buddies sat there and listened to these stories because they knew of where he spoke of.
Mm.
And it's sort of, it's very reminiscent of society, to be honest with you. When you, it's a bit deep, this, isn't it? But it's very reminiscent of society, that there are occasional ones that understand what they're talking about, but there is a lot of them that will roll their eyes. You know, you saw it on Only Fools and Horses with Uncle Albert during the war, and they start rolling their eyes. Well, hang on a second. No, sit your ass down and listen.
Yeah. Well, Dean Marie just said to me, blind react it, Ben. So I will. I'll do a TikTok of me blind reacting that.
Blind reacting. Well, I'm not sure if you'll get it all on a video. Have TikTok extended the videos to 3 minutes yet?
No, I'll do 60 seconds.
Right. Because it's a little bit longer than 60 seconds. I think it's about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I'll do a minute of it, and I'll blind react it, and I'll do it on my main account, or I'll do it.
But I tell you what, Ben. Honestly, it's very powerful and very poignant.
Yeah.
Because it does turn around and say towards the end of it, right at the end, that, you know, the only thing that, you know, it talked about politicians, that, you know, when a politician dies and they lie in states and everybody talks about how great they were, and yet a soldier, when he passes, it's a small little snippet in a local newspaper that just turns around and it should really be saying a soldier died today.
Well, I'll tell you a little story, just a quick one. This is your story, and so I'll make it quick. One of my friends got killed in Afghanistan from Irbi, and he died on like the 20th of the month. I can't tell you the exact date. Please don't hate me. I'm not very good at remembering things like that. But he died. He died just before the end of the month. The end of the month came. His wages were put into his bank account. A few weeks later, his mum and dad got a letter. Sorry, Jordan was overpaid. You owe the military £333.
Get to fuck.
That is the letter they received. That was because he'd been paid for the 10 days that he'd been dead.
And do you know what I would have done with that, Ben? Huh?
I'd have shoved it right in the fucking arse.
I'd have physically wiped my arse with it, put it back in an envelope, and sent the fucker back. Is what I would have done. Sorry for swearing, but that's what I would have done. But that again is the attitude and the mentality of the MOD. They're a disgrace. I'm sorry, but the people in the MOD, and I don't care what anybody says, they wouldn't understand loyalty, mate, if it jumped up and bit them on the arse.
No,
They wouldn't have a clue of loyalty. Not a clue.
No.
Not
And that's
a
the
clue.
thing, isn't it? But is there anything else you want to add, Stu, before we
Wrap it up.
wrap it up? Yeah. Have we missed anything that you'd like to?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything. You know about, obviously, when I was at my low point, when I were growing up, and the losses, my gains. I'm very proud now that I carry the Rafa standard for Preston.
We know about chairlift.
Can't beat that chairlift, mate.
If anyone's got any more questions before we wrap it up, please do. Steph's put one in. One piece of advice you could give to someone today. I think I know what you're going to say.
Go on.
I think you're going to say, be careful what you say to people, and family is everything.
Family is everything, and cherish your family. Really do cherish your family, because when they're gone, that's it. The other thing that I would advise, and I would, and the ladies are going to like this one, Ben. There's a reason why me and Mandy are still together 25 years later, and that's because she's right. Even when she's wrong, she's right.
Yeah.
You could have a flip chart, and you could have Einstein stood next to you showing you that she's wrong. No. She's right.
Yeah. 100%.
End of.
Beck says, "What's next for Stuart? What's his goal for the future? What does he want to achieve next?"
My goal for the future is to carry on working hard, get my 30 years in where I work, to get the damn good pension that I'm working towards, because it is a bloody good pension, really good pension. And it's a bit of a Max and Paddy thing, this one, Ben. When I retire, I want to buy like a Winnebago camper van type thing, and I want to go travelling with Mandy.
You only
Go
get a
and see
bucket full,
places.
Stu. You only get a bucket full.
You only get a bucket full. Don't know what you get.
Stay away from brown handle Mauser.
A broom handled Mosey.
Yeah, stay away from that. You don't want that. We want to.
But no, it's we want to. I'm either going to look at either buying when I get me retirement and I get me lump sum and stuff, buying a place in Spain or Tenerife or somewhere like that.
Oh, I can't wait for you to get that, Stu. I'll be there every other week.
That's one of the things. The other one is to look at getting like a Winnebago type camper van and just going for it, just traveling everywhere,
enjoying what you've worked for.
Yeah, that's what I'm working towards, and hopefully I do get to retirement and I get to enjoy it, and I know that when my clock stops ticking, because I will go before Monday, I don't doubt that. But with
that cheese going to finish you.
That cheese could finish me. But I will go quite happily in the knowledge that with the pension that I've got and everything, that Mandy's looked after when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Because that's my job. When me and Mandy first got together, and just not long after Sean had been born, Mandy's dad, it wasn't popular that me and Mandy had got together. It wasn't popular at all.
Why?
Well, but not long after Sean had been born, Mandy's dad came round. So I invited him, and Mandy had gone to town with Sean in the pram. And I sat on the chair, and Mandy's dad stood over me and gave me a right up, right across the jaw. Smacked me right across the jaw, mate. Right? Why do you think he smacked me?
Because you took his daughter away.
No. He smacked me because if I'd have got up and cracked him one back, I'm not good enough for his daughter.
Fair enough.
He cracked me and I still stayed. So he knows that I'm good enough for his daughter because I will take anything to stay with her.
And what's your relationship with him like?
Oh, brilliant. Honestly. As in-laws, I couldn't ask for better in-laws, mate. I could not ask for better in-laws.
One that didn't crack you would have been better.
No, it was. Listen, Ben. It was a test, mate. It was a test. It was a test, and I passed it. But my father-in-law is very much like Corporal Jones from Dad's Army. God, he don't have to go on. Oh God, he goes on. But I love him to bits. Love him to bits, and they've accepted me, and 110% accepted me because they know that I'll bend over backwards to do out for them.
Just not too much.
And I'll do that for everybody. Eh?
I said, don't bend over too much. I know you've got a bad back.
I've got a bit of a munching glass back, haven't I?
Beck said, so Stu, I think you are amazing but cheeky, but please keep being you and keep your head held high. Steph said, do it, Stu, travel and have an amazing adventure. She also says,
Yeah.
Stu, you're a gentleman. Keep being your amazing self.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And Demon says that's the
There's
old.
going to be something coming up to do with hotels or ports or something like that. There's something coming. I can feel it.
Dave's not here, so you're safe. Someone says, tell him. Leanne says, tell him. Stu, I'm telling you. Tell him, Leanne.
Tell me what?
I have to tell you, Leanne's here.
What? Scottish Leanne?
Leanne 1_1.
Yes, that's Scott. I'm sure that is Scottish Leanne. She's a legend, mate. I swear to God. She's so funny. If somebody goes in her lives, the first time I saw Leanne, mate, I'm telling you now, it was a TikTok version of Jeremy Kyle. Oh my God, mate. I swear to God, it was a belter. It was a belter. Anyway, Leanne, up the road.
Lord Joshua says, you are the best.
Do you know who Lord Joshua is?
He's a Preston fan, I know that.
Certainly is, mate. Certainly is. Go on, Josh. Go on, Josh, lad. Get it in, son.
Well, as he's expecting it, keep pairing that wine and cheese in your retirement.
That's Steph, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Troublemaker, that one.
I've learned a lot about you tonight. Some good, all good, but some very sad. And just know that if you ever need anyone to talk to, you've got my number anyway. We talk.
I know that, mate. And listen, I'll tell you now, Ben, when I needed you the other week, mate, the other month, you were there, mate. And I can't thank you enough for that because I did need you that time. I really did.
But I really appreciate it. When you Skipton? They're 8 nice for you.
Well, I can't turn up in my nice new car because I'll stick out like a sore thumb coming to Yorkshire. I'm gonna have to borrow somebody's big dog.
Skipton's posh here. We're all right.
I'm gonna have to borrow somebody's big dog to walk into Skipton, aren't I? With it being from Yorkshire, just to fit in with locals.
Steve knows him as a P&E. My mum says her husband knows you as a P&E fan.
Certainly am, mate. If you cut me, mate, I've got North End running through me and I bleed lamb's blood.
And everyone at Mickey's Army will always be a for Stu, and everyone that follows Mickey's Army will always be a for you, and everyone is only one message away. So
I appreciate that, guys. And my only message to other people that if you are struggling, if you need a chat, just reach out and have that chat because a lot of the time that is what we need. We need to vent, we need to exhale and just have a chat and just let it go because there are people out there that want to listen. And you know what I mean? It's not a case of rolling their eyes and stuff. They know that you need to vent. They know that you need to get things off your chest. So don't bottle it up. Give people like him a shout.
And remember,
put your head over here. Put your head over here.
And as you've seen, Stuart's cried tonight. It's okay to cry. It's not weak. It's not weak to cry.
There's many a time when I could just crack, mate. I really could.
But
I try not to let it grab me.
But it's all right to, innit? And
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because every so often we need to. So make sure that you do, guys.
Absolutely, Stu. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure we'll speak again sometimes.
Yes.
Man or men, if they cry, yeah, it's only real men that show feelings. Absolutely, a real man does show his feelings. Real men do show his feelings. Stu, I'm going to let you back off because I know that Mandy will be wanting a brew. So you best go make one.
I'll be under orders.
You will.
Well,
Stu will always be in your comments.
One last thing for you, and Lord Josh, we will appreciate this. But Ben, to you, sir, I appreciate that tonight. I really do.
Thanks for sharing it with Stu. Absolutely amazing, and all the best for your future plans. And with what you've already told me about what's going on over the last few months, I do genuinely hope it all gets easier and better for you, mate.
Cheers, I really appreciate that, man. Cheers for that.
And like I say, I'm a message away, pal.
All right, mate.
And I'm about 33 miles away if I need to drive to you.
You're not far away, mate. It's a 25-minute drive. That's all it is.
Exactly. And I would drive Stu in the middle of the night if I needed to.
I appreciate that, Ben. Same here, Cop. If you needed
do it back. I know you do it back, Stu. So.
See, bloody right, I would.
That's Stu.
I'd have to just put the take the armoured vehicle going into Yorkshire. the one with the lockable wheel nuts, so you can't get the wheels off. Because you know what they're like in Yorkshire, they're a bit special.
Absolutely. My mum says Gantry Day, Stu. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Too right. That's what it's all about.
Take care, Stu. I'll speak to you again soon, mate.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.
Take care, Stu.
Appreciate that.
See you later, mate. Love to help family as well, mate.
Cheers, mate. You too.
See you later, buddy. Guys, that was Stu. What an amazing guy.